Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Now, I just want to prove that we don't just throw this channel together. There's some conscious thought, production values and everything. You see, this story was one I could have done yesterday. It came up yesterday and I thought, no, wait, because I knew that there was the by-election in North Lanarkshire. And I thought this story will dovetail nicely into that one. So I've literally just done the result of the North Lanarkshire by-election video. And now we can go straight into this one. You see? Professionalism. And this one is asking, when is the next general election? And what will happen as more calls are being made for this fresh poll to occur as quickly as possible? Be bad news, of course, for Humza Yousaf. Probably brilliant news for Labour. And it will see the end of Rishi Sunak. So again, one where everybody wins. So we'll have a look at this, see what's going on, and we can tap straight into it. Here goes. Right, before we get into it, just very quickly say that YouTube gets a bit shady every now and again, and it has been doing it again. Yesterday we saw a lot of subscriptions just sort of disappear. They weren't coming off in particular videos, they were just gone. They still then came all back again, thankfully. And this is YouTube unsubscribing people without their consent. It happens. People sometimes query whether it happens, but it definitely happens. And so do please check that you're still subscribed and ring the bell. And if you've not yet subscribed, now's an excellent time to do so. We are a political channel. YouTube, the algorithm doesn't like political channels. It pushes us down. So every time you subscribe, it builds us back up. It strengthens the channel. And it makes an absolute difference when it terms of getting the truth out to good people like yourselves. So please support the channel. Hit the subscribe button. Ring that bell. And also leave a like. Really important. Anyway, we've got this story here. When is the next general election and what is expected to happen as calls grow for a fresh poll? Now, of course, there's over a year away until it must legally happen. And, of course, the gift of when it happens is in the hands of the Prime Minister. He can call it whenever he likes. Now, the chances are he's going to try and drag it out as long as he can because he knows that at the moment the Tory party are immensely unpopular. Who would have thought that was possible after all the terrible things they've done? They've basically become a blue Labour party. They've put the taxes up way more than the last Labour government did, strangely enough. We're now paying more tax than ever. This is supposedly the Tory party, which is the party of low taxation. Hey-ho. But then when you have such a strange little man controlling it, a man who gave billions away and made sure that billions upon billions of untested, uncontrolled money flew out into the hands of his chums, what do you expect? He called it emergency relief for all the COVID and that, and it was none of the sort. It was a way of taking public money into private ownership. He is as guilty as the rest of them. And of course, he's a non-tax-paying billionaire with a green card, so he can sod off as quickly as he likes once he gets thrown out. Mowgli is not a Prime Minister that I recognise. I never voted for him. You never voted for him. The membership of the Tory party never voted for him. He was thrust upon everybody by 300 wankers at Westminster. Anyway, Rishi Sunak must decide when the country will hit the ballot boxes once more, with his cabinet reshuffle prompting speculation as to when that will be. Unfortunately, he didn't shuffle the most important job, his own. And it's a sign of absolute desperation. When you see big cabinet reshuffles like that, you know that the leader is desperate. He's screwed up big time, and he truly has. And of course the letters are going in. His time is limited. He knows his time is limited. And I think he's already checked out as Prime Minister, to be honest. Anyway, calls have increased this week for a general election to be called after Rishi Sunak reshuffled his cabinet. The sacking of Suella Braverman as Home Secretary, as well as the return of David Cameron as Foreign Secretary, stole the headlines as the PM looked to steady the Tory ship. The Tory ship is going down at the stern. It really is. It's too late for that. And I don't think they've got enough lifeboats. And the fact that they have to make David Cameron a lord just to get him back into Parliament shows the true desperation of Rishi Sunak. He knows he's screwed. He knows he's finished, and he knows the Tories are finished. SNP leader Humza Yousaf and Scottish Labour leader Anna Sawar are among those who say the country needs a vote, while the term general election now regularly trends on social media. And it's going to for a long time. Britain has had 3 prime ministers since the last election in 2019, which resulted in Boris Johnson leading the Conservatives to a landslide victory. And the reason is that most people didn't vote for the Tory party. They voted for Boris Johnson. Unfortunately, the likes of Rishi Sunak didn't see that. They saw all those votes and thought, oh, the Tories are doing well. No. Boris Johnson was doing well. Johnson was followed by the record-breakingly short reign of Liz Truss, who lasted a mere 44 days before being replaced undemocratically by Mr Sunak. The UK does not elect the PM directly. Instead, the monarch symbolically invites the party leader, most likely to command the confidence of the House of Commons, to form a government. Well, there was no confidence in Liz Truss because she was against the WEF. She was talking about letting people have a bit of money. Let's ease the problems back. Let's not keep putting the boot onto the face of a human being like Rishi Sunak is trying to do. While PMs regularly change between elections, the fact that there have been so many in a short period of time has seen cries for the people to be consulted grow. And if he does decide to call an election soon, Mr Sunak will need to ask King Charles to dissolve Parliament, with MPs no longer required to vote on the issue. Yeah, you don't need to now, because there was a time when they did, because of the fixed electoral pact that they had with the Lib Dems. But now Rishi Sunak can just call it when he wants. Under parliamentary rules, the general election must be called within 5 years of the first parliamentary sitting after the last election. If it is not, Parliament is automatically dissolved and an election would take place 25 working days later. This means an election must be called by the 17th of December 2024 but must take place by no later than the 28th of January 2025. But it's looking increasingly likely as being an October next year one. That's assuming it doesn't go before. It all depends really on Sunak. It seems unlikely Mr Sunak will take that long, and the Dissolution and Calling of Parliament Act 2022 effectively gives him the power to call one when he wants. But the exact timing remains a mystery, as indeed is what's going on in his head. He's likely to wait until polling is kinder to his party, or if he senses turmoil amongst the opposition. Well, here's the thing. The Labour Party right now are in open civil war on about 3 or 4 different fronts. Most notably Gaza. You're losing front benchers, back benchers, councillors up and down the country. It is open warfare in the Labour Party. And they're still massively ahead of the Tories. There's nothing Sunak can do to save the Tories. Some pessimistic Tories who have already given up on winning have suggested spring would be the better option. They argue that it could minimise losses with an autumn election running the risk of polls getting even worse. If the opposition wants to force a vote, they can no longer rely on the 2/3 majority support in Parliament vote that was part of the Fixed Term Parliament Act, which I mentioned they brought in with the Lib Dem coalition. According to the Institute of Government, if there was a majority for an election, they could seize control of the parliamentary agenda and push through legislation for an election on a certain date, or hold a vote of no confidence in the government, which would then need to resign or dissolve Parliament for an election. But given the Conservative Party's huge majority, this will not happen. Not unless there's an awful lot of Tories that will say, look, let's just get it off and have it and move on. And then it's over really, isn't it? The Tories know it's over. Your average Tory backbencher knows it's over. Indeed, most on the front bench know it's over, and they're just hanging on because the longer they're there, the better their pension, basically. Given the polling day is theoretically over a year away, it would be foolish to make bold predictions, but Labour enjoys a huge lead in the polls, with most experts predicting Sir Keir Starmer will win a majority. I'm going to break a prediction here. If there was the next election, Keir Starmer is the leader of the Labour Party. He walks in, he forms a government, he is the next leader, and then there'll be a coup d'etat within the Labour Party, and you'll have someone like Liz Truss or one of the lefty extremists take over as Prime Minister, and it won't be sort of a fairly moderate like Keir Starmer. It will be an extremist, and Labour will basically had a coup d'etat and will have imposed what is going to be not far off a Marxist government in this country. And that, I'm afraid, will be quite disastrous, but it's likely to happen. So, got to be very careful when you vote. It's just terrible. We don't have any high calibre politicians left, do we? They're all crooks and corrupt. And when they're not corrupt, they're just inept. None of them have ever really had a real job, have they? Very few of them. It's their own fault. We keep voting for them. Anyway, I shall finish there. Come up and we'll round off. Thank you. Yes, I will highlight my own mistake in that main section there. I don't know what I said Liz Truss because I had Liz Truss in my head. I meant Angela Rayner. I did put a note up. But yeah, it'd be someone like Angela Rayner will take over from Keir should he win the election. Because most of the party know that they need Keir Starmer to win, but they don't want Keir Starmer as PM. He's not what they want. But they know they need him to get them in. And that's what's going to happen. Certainly the Tories are finished. No one else has got a shot. And, it's not going to be a surprise to anyone when it happens, let's put it that way. But the great result, which isn't really mentioned in that piece, but the great result, which I'm sure most people will be happy about, is it will see more or less the complete eradication of the SNP from Westminster. They are going to be effectively wiped out. You might have one or two. A little bit of tactical voting, tiny bit of tactical voting in Scotland, and they could be completely wiped out. Literally, they could be gone. And it's up to the good people of Scotland to do that. It's up to the Labour supporters in a Tory area. It's up to the Tory voters in a Labour area, and so on. You can do it. Hold your nose. One election, get rid of the SNP. Wipe them out. Eradicate them. Make it political genocide. Make sure that they just don't exist anymore. Anyway, I should stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Hope this one's been informative, apart from my little mistake. Until next time, stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you later. Bye.